That is the greatest theme song ever. I mean, ever. Thank you, Lil Wayne, my friend. And thanks to all of you out there for joining us here on Undisputed. For the next 2 hours, our goal is just to give you a little break from these shockingly tough times by doing what we love to do, which is debate the hottest sports topics. We're at home. We hope you're at home now also watching us. I'm here in my little hovel, west side of Los Angeles, little place called Century City. My debate partner, Shannon Sharp, as usual, is way up the mountain from here, up a street called Beverly Glen, up into Bel Air, his palatial estate. Good morning up there, Shannon Sharp. How are you?
Actually, I'm in a Frobello in Beverly, in Bel Air.
No, really? Oh,
Skip,
well,
Skip, I brought you
me.
Skip, I brought you a little something today. You don't mind? You want to see this, Skip?
Remember, I can't see you, so I have no idea what you're doing. So you have to go audio here and tell me what you're doing. What is it? I don't know.
You don't have a monitor? Do you have a monitor? If you look down at your monitor, you can see what I'm doing. You don't have a monitor? Oh,
I don't.
Okay,
have a
that
monitor.
is a.
I don't.
Well, this year you'll be seeing a lot of this. It could be something like green with an eagle's wing on it. I'm not saying it's an Eagles helmet, but it could possibly be an Eagles helmet.
Well, as we speak, Fox Bet has the Eagles at 18-1, tied with Tampa Bay to win the Super Bowl. My Dallas Cowboys are 16-1, which I think is a little bit better odds. So good luck with that. So enough of that.
We'll see.
Again, for the next 2 hours, we're going to do what we do best, or we hope we do best, which is debate these hot sports topics. Number one, wait a minute, the Bucs are saying that Tom Brady recruited them. And number two, the Chargers still haven't jumped at the chance to sign Cam Newton. Why is that? And number three, what in the name of Tom Brady is Bill Belichick doing in New England, or should I ask, not doing in New England? And finally, and this is going to be my favorite topic of the day, we delve into the greatest white hope who ever came down the pike. Larry Bird, 1979, the most watched basketball game in the history of this country. I think in the history of the world. We will get to that in just a few minutes. But first up here, speaking of Larry Bird, the ESPN fan poll is now down, and it's to choose, obviously, the greatest college basketball player ever. It's now down to the finals, featuring, said Larry Bird, versus, guess who? Him again, Michael Jordan. So, Shannon Sharp, I hate to ask you this question, but if Michael Jordan wins greatest college player, which he probably will, and that's on top of the fact that a whole lot of us out here already believe that Michael Jordan is obviously the greatest NBA player ever, how much would that, on top of that, damage your case that LeBron James is the GOAT?
Well, Skip, Michael and LeBron took two different paths. Michael went to college for 3 years. LeBron came straight out of high school. Michael did win a national championship. He jumped into our lexicon basically when he hit that shot over Georgetown in 1982. But Skip, Michael's legacy is the NBA. Nobody, Skip, look, these are millennials voting. Nobody believes Michael Jordan is the greatest college basketball player, but people that never saw some of the other greats play. You and I both know that. How are you the greatest college basketball player ever, and you win one national championship, and you win that championship as the second best player on your own team? James Worthy was National College Player of the Year. James Worthy was the #1 overall pick. Also on that team was Sam Perkins, who, Skip, can you tell people Sam Perkins was the top 5 pick if I'm not mistaken, right? Michael Jordan, Sam Perkins, James Worthy, Matt Matt Doherty, who was a good college player, could shoot the basketball. But Skip, look, you and I both know this It's hard to separate, because when you think of Michael Jordan, the first thing you think of Jumpman, you think of the shoe, you think of his NBA legacy. Skip, Michael Jordan was a very good college basketball player, but he was not pantheon of historically great. Christian Laettner had a better college career than Michael Jordan. Now, obviously he didn't have the NBA career, but when you say four Final Fours, 2 national championships, 2 most outstanding players, a National College Player of the Year. Skip, he had a greater college career than Mike. Skip, Mike averaged 20 points, I think, his sophomore season. And we get it. The only man that's ever been able to contain Michael Jordan was Dean Smith. His offense was his offense. You played within that offense. We get all of that. But it's hard for me to believe that someone had a better career than one Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when you go 3 national titles, 3 most outstanding players, 3 National Player of the Year, and you lose 2 college games in 3 years. Look, Michael is Michael, but LeBron didn't go to college, so we don't know what he could or would have been. We just know this. He went straight from high school to the NBA, and he's been the best player for over a decade. That's what we do know.
Okay. I hear everything you just said, and some of it actually made some sense to me. But the fact remains that ESPN is doing a fan poll, and that it looks like Michael Jordan, in something of a surprise even to me, the biggest Jordan fan, is going to win greatest college player ever. So what's happening here, Shannon Sharp, is that it's now forcing even me, his biggest fan, the guy who covered him in Chicago as a Chicago Bull, to reconsider his college career, because I never even think about Michael Jordan as a college basketball player. So now I have to think, interesting. So now it's down to Bird versus Jordan. Well, both had 2 years of first-team All-American. No surprise, but even Steven. And yet Larry Bird, as great as he was his last year, which was his senior year at Indiana State, or his 4th year in college, that he went 33-0, but lost, obviously, to Magic Johnson and Gregory Kelser in that classic NCAA final in Salt Lake City, which I covered and we're going to talk about in a few minutes here on Undisputed. But the point is that Larry Bird didn't win a ring, as great as that run was, and I thought it was the greatest underdog run ever, all the way to a finals.
I agree.
But he didn't win a ring, and it forced me to rethink about the greatest college game I ever covered as far as star power. I was courtside that night in New Orleans, as you brought up, 1982, and I got to watch firsthand, like reach out and touch them almost, this great collection of North Carolina talent versus Georgetown talent. And I'm sure you watched the game, but you pointed out that it was always, obviously, Jordan is a true freshman. And it was Doherty, who was a really nice college player, as you talked about. James Worthy, Sam Perkins, Jimmy Black was sort of the point guard on that team. Against Georgetown, featuring Sleepy Floyd, who could just flat out light it up. And we saw him light it up for Golden State as a pro basketball player. And obviously, Patrick Ewing. And then they had another collection of various Freddie Browns. And they were a good team. They were a deep basketball team. Maybe not in pro talent quite like Carolina was. But that's the game that I sat back and said, this is like Super Bowl 13 that I covered in Miami when it was Dallas Cowboys versus Pittsburgh Steelers, and it was just wall-to-wall Hall of Famers on both sides. That was the greatest collection of pro football talent I ever saw. This was the greatest collection of college basketball talent on one floor in one game. And obviously, now I'm reminded, and you did point this out to your credit, that with 15 seconds left, some kid named Mike Jordan, he wasn't yet Michael Jordan, Mike Jordan pulled up and hit maybe a 18-foot jump shot, 20-foot jump shot?
Yeah, it was about 18 feet.
To win the game. Yeah, 18 feet. And remember, it was the classic case of they were down 1. That was a do or die shot. And you always hate it when I bring up the fact that, well, LeBron took the shot with the game tied and he had a safety net of overtime. Well, this was the first glimpse of Michael Jordan taking a do or die down one. Got to make it. If you miss it, you're probably going to lose the game. And he was a true freshman, and he flat out ripped it. And that was the first moment I really even noticed him, because he didn't come in to college basketball with the acclaim that a lot of these kids do, where you say, like, you know, oh my God, it's Zion. We knew Zion was coming early on, you know, back when he was maybe a junior in high school. Even Ja Morant was a great high school player, and we knew he was going to explode on the college scene. So the point I'm making is, this is the cherry on top, because all of a sudden it's forcing me to think about, well, wait a second. He arrived as a true freshman at Carolina. He showed you he was going to be all-time clutch, because he won the NCAA championship game with a dagger clutch shot. And my point to you is, I think the world is going to have to refocus now on, wow, he was that great as a college freshman. And again, LeBron came straight into the league, and I thought he was, he was really good. That first night in Sacramento, he scored 25 points at Kings. He was really good. But you say, well, wait a second, James Worthy was the best player on that team. Well, in hindsight, the truth was, I think Mike Jordan was the best player on that team. We just didn't recognize it yet because, to your point, Dean Smith wouldn't let us recognize it. He was the only man who could, to your quotation, who could contain Michael Jordan. Your thoughts?
You remember, Skip, the previous year, North Carolina had lost the national championship game to Indiana. If I'm not mistaken, Skip, that was also, they ended up playing that game. There was an assassination attempt on President Reagan's life.
It was.
And they still ended up playing the game. If I'm not mistaken, they lost to Indiana, who